Yo, what going on right now? I definitely didn't think that the public would have come forward with so much information about this individual. So this is part 3, yes, but this is part 3 and this is 2B, I could say. Because trust me, this is insulting, especially to the TTPS. Hey, I tell you, I was supposed to tell you about licensing office. What the ass going on with you, boy? You stupid, huh? Also, what I'm doing on purpose is going to start reading emails to the back end of this video. And people realize how serious that this thing called journalism and sensationalism, they live in the same house right now, especially for this sodomite. So, look at this and trust me, to the weak-minded ones, don't cry. Enjoy your day now. But this is gonna hurt in every single way. So let's begin. First things first, I'm picking up the source, as in I saw it on Facebook, only through a third party. I wasn't studying it at all, but there's a lot of people that realize that this man is a pathological liar. So let us begin. Z-Team Sub-Zero, big up yourself for highlighting this, and also big up Rosie, all four of them that highlighted the situation to me. If you have seen the interview with Ian Allen, with both sides, it's not hard to understand. This woman is pure evil and dangerous. She has been indulging in extra-hour activities or has been taking the man's money and personal belongings with the promise of indulgence. However, the situation goes, how come it was so easy for me? Crime, watch, to turn a blind eye to the brazen, unforgivable acts of cruelty and pure wickedness this woman did. The surprise on her face when Ian asked her, this is why the police are not doing nothing. And this has all of them on speed dial. Yes, as in this are referring to as, because she's not a human being. That is a this. Just like Ian Allen himself. That is a this. These are abominations of human beings. And this is just one of many officers who was and currently involved with her. According to my investigations, the son, Joshua Gopi Singh, not got locked up for driving without a driver's permit. Listen to that again. The son, Joshua Gopi Singh, got locked up for driving without a driver's permit. And because of the links with the inspector, he was released. Ian Allen, and on the other hand, was known, the family member, a while now. Farida Balgobin, bigger sister, Farida. And Farida Balgobin, oh gosh, has over years been in contact with him. The family has a reputation of bribing the police on many occasions. Are you feeling good about this? Yeah, boy. What's also very interesting is that what transpired is when I see this comment inside of the chat, and this is a pussy, a real pussy, smeller, not sucker, you know, because sucker, that means you get through. Smeller means that you want it, or you're just a fan fucking boy. Very embarrassing. Mr. Jelly Mohammed, you're very fucking embarrassing. I'm not even going on and read this, because the testicular fortitude that you don't have means that you have a micro-sized dick, much less your mind. But continue being a cackahole though, because definitely fans like you is why women like this that succeed in life. You see, being sadistic, narcissistic, a master manipulator, and somebody's biatch, as in referring to you, the other words were referring to her, of course. You need to understand, stop doing that. I swear for a fact that his name is Dale Saran, because he's the only other pussy I know in Trinidad and Tobago right now like that. Yo, so now let's begin with licensing office. I told you all, I don't lie. So when licensing office lying to you, just observe the things that are happening. And please do note, there was a person who came out and spoke about what should be done to these officers that are involved in shit. So this is reading of emails that I'm sending you in definite correspondence with them over the past few months. So you'll realize licensing offices are just fast liars that are definitely trying to cover up the tracks. So when you hear this, I know you'll be in shock and realize it's time to take legal action against them. Think, oh, Mr. Payne, You're still a piece of fucking shit. Know this. Just like this stuff. Don't you just like when you could prove a point and show that motherfuckers lying? Especially in a government. Listen to this. A government institution, aka ministry, that's supposed to have definitely the most trustable and transparent services in Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, you can't say trustworthy and licensing in the same sentence. Just remember that. Okay, the 8th of September 2025. Yeah. So, no problem at all. Let's succeed or suck people's seeds to get through that they want you to pay something to make certain things happen. Right. Let's carry on now. Every single thing in Trinidad and Tobago happens for a reason and at the right time. Remember my first video that started this series? I gave information in regards to Hall of Justice and how my name is not on the system even though I was incarcerated for traffic offenses. That 6288529 number is from the Hall of Justice. They just called a few minutes ago to tell me that my minutes of my court matter is ready for me to pick up. This is after 2 weeks. I went and I did not get on crazy. I did not use any green words. I also have a picture of the supervisor and 3 other staff members querying to themselves how this could have happened. Let's carry on with the video now. It is now Thursday the 9th of April. And remember, that is nearly 2 years. In fact, it is 2 years and 3 days actually that I began anything legal-wise in the Court of Justice dealing with my matter with traffic offenses. Now, let's get to the email of the lies being told by licensing office and the corrupt workers who still there who did not serve any prison time for illegal activities. Let us begin. And Mr. Payne, remember, I'm still coming. So, as I said, I always keep my promises. So, what is happening right now? This is a breakdown of what transpired. And know the date. This is September. Listen to this. September the 9th, 2025, which was the exact day after when I had the experience in City Hall with the lying, I repeat, the lying licensing officer called Mr. Payne and the red lady, tall as myself, who did not come to work in licensing office on this day. Now, how email communication works also when lying, seen even by Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles, was the title of this email. Right. So, the history of emails entails, in fact, I should say, an evolving set of technologies and standards that culminated. Sorry about that, I have to laugh because this is going to be very interesting. And of course, it's a guilt trip set in a professional manner to show how much they are lying. That's why I'm laughing. So let's do this again. The history of email entails an evolving set of technologies and standards that culminated in email systems in use today. Computer-based messaging between users of the same system became possible following the advent of time sharing in the early 1960s with a notable implementation of MIT's CTSS project in 1965. Informal methods of using shared files to pass messages were soon expanded to the first mail systems. Most developers of early mainframes and microcomputers developed similar but generally incompatible mail applications. Over time, a complex web of gateways and routing systems linked many of them. Some systems also supported a form of instant messaging where a sender and a receiver needed to be online simultaneously. In 1971, Ray Tomlinson sent the first email message sent between 2 computers on a ARP-PAN-net, introducing the now familiar address syntax with the A symbol designating the user system address 2345 over a series of RFCs. Conventions were refined for sending messages over, as in email messages over the file transfer protocol. Several other email networks developed in the 1970s and expanded subsequently. I'm doing this to show them how email works and was invented. Proprietary email systems began to emerge in the 1970s and the early 1980s. IBM developed a primitive in-house solution for office automation over the period of 1970 to 1972 and replaced it with OFS, Office System, providing mail transfer between individuals in 1974. This system developed into IBM Profs. Yes, is available on request to customers before being released commercially in 1981. CompuServe began offering electronic mail designed for interactive memos in 1978. The development team for Xerox Star began using electronic mail in the late 1970s. Developing the work on DECs in all-in-one system began in 1977 and was released in 1982. Hewlett Packard launched EP, as in Hewlett Packard Mail, later HP Desk Manager in 1982, which became the world's largest selling email system. I'm highlighting this to show you all how email expanded and how early it was. So now, I'm doing this last part to show you all something. During the 1980s and the 1990s, the use of email became common in business, government, universities, and defense military industries, starting with the advent of webmail, the web era form of email. The email clients in the mid-1990s, use of email began to extend for the rest of the public. By the 2000s, email had gained ubiquitous status. The popularity of smartphones since the 2010s, in fact, I should say, has enabled instant access to emails. I'll read that last line again. The popularity of smartphones since the 2010s has enabled instant access to emails. Three men charged with misbehavior in public office, uttering forged, I repeat, 3 men charged with misbehavior in public offices and uttering forged documents in an alleged fraud attempt at the licensing division have been discharged by the High Court. Right, did you hear that? High Court. Motor Vehicle Inspector Errol Sipursad, 49, and temporary clerk Sukdish Radhaksoon. Both attached to the Kearney licensing office were charged with misbehavior in public office. Computer technician Adrian Mohammed was charged with 2 counts of uttering forged documents. The 3 were charged separately. The matter was heard by Master Adia Mohammed. Bear in mind that name, Right. Who initially presided over the case in the Magistrates Court before transferring it to the Masters Court under the Administration of Justice Indictable Proceedings Act, Apt JIPA, in 2023, when the 3 were charged. On June 24th, Mohammed discharged all 3, accused the state after they failed to advance the prosecution despite being granted multiple extensions. Don't you find that strange, Trinidad and Tobago? I'll read that again. On June 24th, this is the day, listen to this well, this is the day after I was given, in fact, prior was given my dismissal as in cannot drive paperwork. This is what they mailed to me. And I was not sent an email. On June 24th, Mohammed discharged all 3 accused after the state failed to advance the prosecution despite being granted multiple extensions. Now, these are people with money. I myself am a hustler. And I was using legal assistance after the fact because, of course, I did not know that I was disqualified from driving. These are guys charged with the same fraudulent documents. Let's continue. After the case was transferred to the Masters Court in 2023, another master made a scheduling order adjourning the matter until June 10th, 2025, for a sufficiency hearing. At the hearing, Mohammed presided and questioned the state's lack of readiness. The matter was then adjourned to June 13th. For many reasons, I remember that date, a cousin's birthday. And then furthermore, I was relieved to be out of incarceration on June 16th, 2025. Now, when the prosecution failed again Listen to that. A prosecution failed to appear. Attorneys for the accused requested that the case be dismissed. Is this fucking normal, Trinidad and Tobago? No, it is not. So, attorney Renuka Rambachan, who represented Sipasad, argued that the matter illustrated how APJIPA could be misused, and said that although the legislation allowed cases to be transferred from magistrate court to the High Court Master's Court, giving parties more time to prepare, the prosecution still failed to comply. She said her client lost 2 years waiting on the case to proceed. I don't give a fuck. You are a freaking representative of the government of Trinidad and Tobago in a government ministry. And you're fighting a case, so what? When you literally had fraudulent documents you selling on to fucking people? The case was further adjourned to June 24th. Initially, no one from the prosecution appeared. Don't you find that suspect, Trinidad and Tobago? The matter was stood down twice before prosecutions eventually requested a fourth extension. Defense attorneys objected and Mohammed agreed, dismissing the cases and discharging the men. The charges stem from a 2022 report made by a man who visited the licensing office of Port of Spain to verify ownership of a black Navara registered in his name. He was informed that the vehicle had been transferred to someone else, a claim he denied. He reported the incident to the Transport Commissioner, who then referred to the fraud squad. Investigations allegedly revealed that a senior licensing officer and a temporary clerk had fraudulently prepared a submitted transfer documents to facilitate the transaction. Attorney Russell Warner represented Radha Kisun, while Michael Rupalal and Vishan Gurwa represented Adrian Mohammed. Despite the moves to crack down on corruption at the transport division's licensing offices, several employees say fraudulent activities ranging from small-time bribes to touts for certified copies to unauthorized vehicle transfers and duplication of licensing plates continue in the organization. The Sunday Guardian spoke to several employees whose names or positions cannot be revealed out of concern for their jobs and safety. Some employees said there had been a concerted effort in the division under Transport Commissioner Clive fucking Clark to tackle corruption. It remains part of the organization's culture. Earlier this month, 2 staff members, licensing officer Errol Supasad and the temporary clerk Sudesh Radhakisun. Why I'm lowering my tone of voice while saying his name. I remember in somebody very well, but I'll tell you that story after the fact. Another Adrian, though, who worked at the Ryson Road Port of Spain office, were charged with misbehavior in public office and they were accused of overseeing the unauthorized vehicle transfer. The employees described the arrest as a show asking, what about the rest? The employees, once again I'm repeating, described the arrest as a show asking, what about the rest? That means it have other motherfuckers who in corruption and they're not arresting them. You can't get away from it. You can't get rid of all the employees. It's understood. For example, when touts come out to get a certified copy, you often get $100 with a receipt. What am I going to do? Give them back? One employee asked. You could be the righteous one, but you will likely end up suffering. You will be living on a normal salary and everyone else will be driving an expensive vehicle, eating the best food, living nicely, traveling the world. And if you do the right thing, you suffer. So it's very difficult to walk that path, but people don't realize that, and an employee said. According to the employees, licensing division has its own culture. They admitted the commissioner's clerk's policies have seen a decline in corruption, saying that in the past it was far more rampant. The employees said, with the new system, one person is no longer responsible for overseeing the entire process from the beginning to an end, allowing for more checks and balances. They estimated that around 50 to 60% of the licensing transport division workers are scrupulous. Did you hear what I just said? They are estimating that around 50 to 60% of the licensing office transport division are scrupulous. The officers admitted, however, that they cannot confirm even those that they believe are clean are indeed above board. The officers, I'll repeat again, admitted, however, they cannot confirm that even those they believe are clean are indeed and above board. They said while the changes have been made more difficult to run the ball, people have found their way around the system and said once it becomes acquainted with an officer or a clerk and enough money is passed, anything is possible. Remember those Alteza problems that I mentioned? That Alteza is still the most tampered with vehicle in Trinidad and Tobago history? You all realizing what I'm saying? Right. What they, as in corrupt officers, tend to do is, let's say, for example, you want to do a transfer, you want to pay for it, but you don't want to come in and go through the whole process. As the client and I, as the corrupt officer, would do the transfer, and that's that. There's no one to report any issues because there would be both at fault. We don't want that information out. However, if someone in your family passes away and there's a third party who wants to buy your deceased relative vehicle, you connect with an officer to transfer the vehicle, but your brother wanted the vehicle. So he will wonder how the vehicle ended up being transferred in the third party's name, then report it. When the authorities do the investigation, they may say the man is dead. He could not have transferred the vehicle. So why? So they go through the file, and that's where some employees end up getting caught. The only reason it will be highlighted or investigated is if someone queries it. An employee said. The employees lamented that the relatively low salaries paid to the division contribute to the likelihood of workers taking bribes. So these fucking demons justifying the wrong, you know. Notice, I have still long into the email to go, but let's carry on a little bit. They estimated that a clerk carries home between 5,000 to 6,000 a month, while the average officer earns less than 10,000 a month. Licensing division workers are represented by the Public Services Association. Miss Felicia Fatgill, 72,000 a month. Mercedes-Benz Thomas. The government has offered a salary increase of 4% for the negotiating periods of 2014 to 2017, as well as 2017 to 2020. PSA President Lloyd Batiste has rejected the offer, calling it insufficient. The licensing officers' sources agreed, saying 4% would not do anything to improve their standard of living. For example, one of the experienced officers' name has been mentioned in a lot of things, but they cannot prove anything yet. You hear so many things. For instance, a vehicle duplicates issue. They only would get what is from people who are high up in the system. It's like politics, once again. So it's like politics. In some ways, I cannot say that you are sieving because I am sieving too. Wow. We know of an officer who is blacklisted in a certain division because he or she was not doing what the other officers were doing. Treated very differently because they are not into the corruption. He or she had their life threatened. An employee lamented. The employees were reluctant to give out any specific information about the instances of corruption in our concern for the safety and the safety of their colleagues. So I have to break off here because definitely the video would be too long. But don't worry, it's going to carry on. This, because a lot of people have short-term memory, but I don't. So this happened a little while now. So let me read it for you. Woman police corporal of the Ministry of Works and Transport Transit Police Unit was reportedly physically assaulted by a fellow male officer, also in the said unit, on the 7th of November 2024. While on duty, the female officer subsequently made a report to the Mova police station and sought medical attention. DJ News was informed that the WPC corporal was told by her supervisors to keep it low and don't let it out. In addition, it is alleged that the male officer has anger issues and was previously banned from using firearm license due to threats made to a civilian. Right. This is not no hearsay. This is facts of stuff that happened. So check this. Yeah.
Yo, laugh with me and realize everything that I say is coming to pass. Yo, I'm sleepy right now, but I wake up totally after watching this footage. Yo, thanks to the brothers out there. Yo, I know a lot of people there, boy, but boy. Most car men, music men, are brethren. And this was one of the funniest things to notice. I hope they're feeling good right now. And remember, the hashtag today is Cacahole.
Well, they watch a nice illegal driving license officers make and get ram now. Watch them. Yeah. Proper thing. You see? And they will charge somebody for making that drive there. And wood. Wood. Me ain't paying for that. Look how the license officer and them spinning from the man. And get wood. Making illegal driving. Watch, what's it? Is a police they put a stunt on? Swing wrong by the U-turn there. And there's a police running into them. Real nice. And tell the man don't come out the vehicle. What you feel? Yeah, but I'm sure you're going to want to say he wrong, eh? Nah. We got a company it across Facebook. We not worried, we not worried. Shiny light now, man. Shiny light.
I said in here, right? You can go for the road or go down the street. No, I don't want to question anything here. I don't want that whole thing where you're talking. I don't want that here, okay?
P.S. To a certain churchman who have a very big following. Remember that my father is from Tobago. So this support that you're getting, I hope you're not in the fish fraternity, you know, being that you have a wife and kids. And other than that also, the younger gentleman who is definitely a churchman, who I have a lot of respect for, who remains silent on certain things. I'm observing you very well. Because if I have to call your name, your position will be totally gone. And you know exactly who you are, young man. With that being said, Trinidad and Tobago, I love you guys. Deuces.